Here we go, take two.
Take two. My people of the internet. My name is Graham Detling.
I'm just gonna leave it go.
My name is Graham Detling. Hold on. Composure. My name is Graham Detling. And today I'm gonna do Bart's 25-hour maintenance because I lost at racquetball.
I don't even know who that is. Hey guys, how's it going? Scare Bear coming at you. Listen, it's cold outside. It's rainy outside. I got a mile-long list of honey-do list stuff to do, right? A headache, I have a backache, I have all kinds of stuff, and I'm complaining a lot. But this is an amazing day, guys, right? I'm super happy, look at this, look at the grin, right? I'm really happy, and let me tell you why. You may be asking yourself, Scary, all that stuff going on, how can you possibly be happy? Well, let me tell you, this guy right here, Graham Detling, lost a bet to me. It was a hard fight, right? And we played a game of racquetball, and I whooped his beep, put the beep in there. Because of that win, guys, I have discovered the easiest, the absolute simplest way to get the 25-hour maintenance done on your Tornado 280. That's to win a bet. If you win a bet, somebody else will do that for you.
It's true.
And that can never be a bad thing. So let's get into this thing, and I'm gonna kick back with a tall glass of something to drink and a big old smile on my face. And we're gonna watch old Graham do my 20, how many hours? 25. We're gonna watch old Graham Detling do my 25-hour maintenance. And if any of you are looking for an easy way to get this done, just win a bet, right? So anyway, let's get into this, guys. 25-hour maintenance, air conception, Tornado 280. Let's get her done. Let's do it. We're gonna do everything we had to do on the 5-hour maintenance, right? We're gonna step through that whole checklist. And then we got a couple extra things we're gonna do. And I think Graham's about ready over there. He's messing around with something, doing anything he can to stay away from my machine and doing what he's supposed to do. But let's see if I can put a light of fire under his behind and get this thing started. So hit it, Graham.
Oh shit. You always want to just put that prop right through that. You see, check that. That looks nice. Perfect. Let me get the Allen keys. Nicely assorted. Box end wrenches. All right, using the 5mm metric wrench. All right, so we're gonna need ourselves a 10mm spanner, and we're gonna put that right on the top here. And we're gonna put this in the bottom, and then what our ultimate goal is we need a 3/16 of an inch. Me and Bart here did the calculations. It's 10mm from here to here, or we found 3/16 on the top side. So we don't have a metric measuring stick here, so we're gonna go with the 3/16. So we're just gonna double check this tightness, and then we're gonna get the measuring stick out. All right, so here we got ourselves a measuring stick. Now, what we're looking for on the top end here is 3/16 of an inch. So, as you can see that right there, I'm not sure if you can read that, but we got, there's the first mark is 1/16, 2/16, 3/16. Looks like we're pretty much spot on that measurement, so that one's good. And then we just go around and check the rest. Looking real. Dude, I am gonna get such good graces for this stuff. They're gonna be like, man, he is such a nice guy. So we weren't exactly sure what check the engine regulation was, so we're gonna just go ahead and take the liberty of checking all these little Allen bolts that hold the engine casing together. We're not necessarily gonna tighten them, we're just gonna make sure that they aren't loose. We're gonna go ahead and do all these starter Allens as well. Alrighty, so we're supposed to be checking the cylinder head bolt nut torque here. It's supposed to be 23 Newton meters. However, we're gonna go ahead and pop that off and take a look inside just to make sure everything is going well. We don't have any weird scoring inside the cylinder. So here we are. We're just gonna go ahead and take our this socket wrench. We're gonna take our socket wrench. Just go ahead and we just wanna go cross pattern, loosening these up. Be really careful when you guys take this part off here. Go ahead and point the camera here. Be careful when you take this bit off. I would like to hold on to the rubber and kind of wiggle it like that as I pull slowly. And don't pull too hard because otherwise you'll like jerk this wire here. So I kind of like brace myself and just wiggle slowly as I pull that out. That way this inside, maybe you can't see it in there, but there's like a spring that goes against the spark plug here. Always double check the tightness of this little nipple part here as well so that doesn't come off because you don't want to lose your spark plug mid-flight. It's bad news. I've had it happen. Keep taking these off. And then we'll get this baby popped off of here. Oh, just throw that on the ground. All right, and then this should just wiggle off of here.
Is there an up and down to that? I mean,
There is. I would definitely mark the top here. I'm not positive on the Tornado if there's an up and down, but I would definitely mark it just to be safe. Oh, this looks really nice in here, actually. I wonder what the deal is. But my, so as you can see on this just goes to show you the differences in Tornadoes again. This channel here that holds the head gasket on mine is on the head. Let's look at that one, just one I pulled out, just to see if I'm crazy. Okay, so that one's got it in there. I'm almost positive that my new cylinder is different than that, but who knows? So this came off of here, so we're gonna go ahead and carefully pull that back off of there. We're gonna go ahead and fit that back in to our groove here. And then we're gonna go ahead and just push the cylinder back in. So yeah, you can see the little decompression valve right there. That's just that little hole right there. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna find a little wire that we can stick down in there, being really careful not to get any scratches on our cylinder wall here. And you can feel a little bit of something, but it's nothing bad. And if you've got bad scoring on there, I mean, if it's real bad, you probably need some engine work done. So another thing you want to take a look at is the buildup around here to make sure that it's not coming out, because if it comes out, you get some blow by, and that could cause the seal to not seal as well against the cylinder wall here, the cylinder top. So you just want to make sure that this is all clean. That way when you mate the two pieces together, it holds together really well. Alright, so we got ourselves a little end of wire here, and we're just going to go ahead and fish it through that hole in there just to make sure everything's clear. Yeah, so you can maybe see there is yeah, you see the little end of wire coming out the top there. Kind of see it moving around back there in the exhaust port. That way you know you're all the way through and everything's clear. Yeah, you can see it shining right there, wiggling around. All right, so we went ahead and took a little bit of some fingernail polish. It's Bart's favorite color. And we just marked the top of the head. That way we know exactly which way to put it back on. I'm not 100% positive it matters on the Tornado, but on the Nitros, I know it was an issue. So we're just gonna go ahead and do that anyways. Just better safe than sorry. Then we can just fit this back on once we know everything's good. And then the same thing as we did when we took it off, we wanna go ahead and retighten it in a crisscross fashion. Now I would just kind of just hand tight each one a little bit and then go around to your 23 Newton meters, gradually increasing each torque until you get to the full 23 Newton meters. There's our 23 Newton meters. That's good. There we are. Just go back and double check that. Everything seems great. Alrighty. And we can go ahead and fit our plug wire back on here and kind of do the same thing we did to take it off. Just wiggle it on there. And that part's done. Cool. We've got the hardest part coming up. So I just did this on my own Tornado. And we've got to check the tightness of this belt. So we actually checked it prior and we were only getting about 240 hertz. So we knew we had to definitely tighten that because we're supposed to be getting 380 hertz. Download an app on your phone. What do we've got? The
it's called Carltune.
Carltune, yep, Carltune. And basically what we do is we set the phone roughly right in here and then pluck it like that, which is really painful on the thumb, until you get the correct sound. But to achieve the tightness, what we have to do is we have to loosen up these two screws here and then this one on the back here. Now sometimes I've had to, once you have these two loose and this loose as well, you have to actually give that a smack on the end here with like a wooden dowel, kind of fished through between the harness here. That way it'll push this inside cylinder out a little bit so that it allows you to actually tighten the belt. Now inside here, if you can see that, there is a 8mm Allen keyhole, and we just use that part with our 8mm wrench in there like so. And this is a righty-tighty, lefty-loosey scenario. So we're gonna loosen up those 3 Allens back there and then attempt to tighten this. Get that nicely loosened up there. That way we know we don't have any resistance caused from that. Now a little pro tip, since we have You can take off the prop, and in which case you can get this part of the wrench on there. It does make it easier, but I don't like to take off the prop any more than need be. We're gonna try doing it this way, in which case we don't have much leverage here. So if you take a box end wrench, slip it over there. We're gonna go ahead and loosen first and then tighten, but try to stabilize that. Oh, Lord. So we don't have exactly a wood dowel, but we do have 2 hammers. So we're gonna take the wooden end of this hammer, snake it through here onto the back of that Allen bolt. And then by using our rubber mallet, we're gonna make some firm blows to that hammer head, transferring the energy to that Allen, hopefully pushing that sleeve out a little bit so that we have some ability to move it. Good thing they're not my hammers. Whoopsie daisies. So the other option, since we broke the hammer end, we're gonna use this here flathead, and you want the biggest flathead you can find, and we're gonna place it right into this crack because this is where it's holding that shaft. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put that there, insert our 8mm Allen wrench here, along with our torque scenario, and at the same time as we push this, we're gonna try loosening that so they kind of work with each other. Okay, so we did get it tighter, but so you can see we're about 100 hertz too high. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna loosen it back a little bit. All right, so we just loosened a tiny bit. Let's just see what happens. All right, so we're at about a 411 hertz. So we're gonna go ahead and retighten everything and start up the motor and see if it holds tension. Because on mine, I had it about 404 hertz and then tightened everything back up, started it up, let it run for a little bit, and it had dropped itself down to about 380 hertz. So we're gonna do that and see what happens.
Okay, so we started the motor with that tightened, and we're going to give it another check here to see if it the belt loosened up somewhat. If it did, as long as it's still in the 380 hertz range or somewhere around in there, we should be fine.
Darn, I'm really good, I feel like.
He's good, man. He's good. It's at 386 right now, which is pretty much dead on. It's right where we need it to be. So we're going to finish tightening up those bolts, or should I say Graham is going to finish tightening up those bolts and getting it ready. And then that part of the checklist is done.
I don't get chopped up because Bart totally didn't care about my safety that time. So now that I'm done pretty much with being in the prop hit range, we're going to go ahead and turn off that power. So next thing, we're going to check all our nuts and bolts. Make sure the motor isn't going to just eject itself from the paramotor itself, you know, the cage, because that would be fun and interesting. As much fun as it would be to watch that happen to Bart, I care about his safety, so.
I will tell you guys, on this part though, on one of my pre-flight checks, I did notice that one of the engine mounts right here, let me see if I can get in there. One of those engine mounts, that engine mount right there was loose, and you could spin it by hand. So just check that, even though it's not time to check it, make it part of your flight pre-flight check. That might not be a bad idea because it was pretty loose. I had to tighten it quite a bit. It was, like I said, you could move it by hand.
Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and take this carburetor off because we got some cleaning of the screens inside to do. You could probably do it on the motor, but I feel a lot more comfortable just go ahead and take it off. So we're going to go ahead and remove the air box and then remove this carburetor. Alrighty guys, so we got the carburetor off. So this was where the fuel line attached right here. And there's probably just like a zip tie tightening that on. You're just gonna have to snip the zip tie off and then just be careful to pull the fuel line off of there. Okay, so guys, the side that we're concerned about is gonna be this part here. It's right underneath the pumping diaphragm. So we've got these 4 Phillips screws that we have to take off using just your standard Phillips screwdriver. So let's go ahead and get in there. Alright, so once you got those loosened up, just go ahead and pull those out. Oop. Set those aside. Now, this part just lifts off of here. Now, this should come with the diaphragm attached to it. Sometimes it sticks on one side versus the other. So the one thing you have to be careful about, you maybe can't see it in there, but the diaphragm actually hooks around a little fork. So you have to press it. Let's make sure we got it fully undone here. So sometimes it'll snag a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and just peel it off of this cover here. There we go. That way this part can come off and leave the diaphragm attached to this. But we need to go ahead and get this unattached. If you have like a razor blade, you can kind of slide it under there, but you want to be careful not to cut the gasket there. So once we got that, this picks up a little bit, and then it's just going to slide towards this direction. So you lift it up a little bit and then slide it that way, and then that comes right off. So what we're talking about is right here, there's a slot. I'm not sure if you can see that, but there's a slot there. And this little fork that slot has to go into, so when you reapply, you got to make sure that those mate up. So that just slides right on there. All right, so what we're concerned about though here is this screen. It can get filled up with debris and stuff like that. This one looks absolutely perfect, so we're not gonna have to worry about anything there, but it's always good to just be able to check. And this is where if you have to check your pop-off pressure, that's where this was all done. But everything looks great, so we're just gonna go ahead and reassemble it. Okay, so we've got our carburetor reinstalled, put our air box back on, checked our tightness of all these bolts all around. Everything looks good there. Now next is just a visual check of everything. So I always check all my wires, make sure that my lines aren't getting any vibration wear put onto them from rubbing up against stuff. So like where this is against there, always check the back side to make sure it's not getting a hole rubbed into it or something like that. Don't want any unexpected engine out scenarios once again. So we'll just go ahead and do a visual check of everything. Everything looks great. I always like to grab a hold of my exhaust and give it a shake to make sure that the motor mounts and the exhaust mounts all look like they're still in good, proper condition and not tearing at all or excessively loose or pulling away. So you always want to check your rubber bits here. Make sure that that all looks good. Everything looks great. Okay, so last thing we have to check is the where the exhaust mounts here. There's these two bolts, or two nuts. It's supposed to be 23 Newton meters, just like the head bolts. However, we can't get, this doesn't really go in there. So we're just gonna have to check hand tightness with this wrench. So put the box end on there. No, it's a 13 out of 12. So we got our 13 millimeter spanner. Put that on there. Feels good. Also good. All right, there we go. Alrighty guys, so that's it for this video of this old Paramotor. Maintenance 25 hours. That's what happens when you lose a racquetball. Check out my channel at Graham Detling at the end of youtube.com/Graham Detling. Check out my videos. I've got lots of fun stuff in there with this little man, big man, larger man.
Thanks, bud. Thanks, I appreciate it. This is a fat guy right there, the big old fat Paramotor pilot right here, flying around. Anyway, guys, I appreciate you coming along, man. It was a fun video to make, and it was super easy for me to just hold the camera and get out of the way for a change. It was a good time. I had a good time making this video. And Graham, he's a great sport, guys. He stepped up, did everything he was supposed to do, and he did it with a smile. And I really appreciate that. But if you get a chance, yeah, go over and check his channel out, man. He's a great guy. Does some pretty fun flying, some upside down stuff, and some stuff to make you pucker a little bit, if you know what I mean. So, but check him out. And as always, guys, I hope you got something out of this video, and I hope you learned something. I hope it helped. If there's something I missed, something I didn't answer, feel free to shoot me a message, and I'll get a hold of Graham and make him tell you how to fix it, because I had nothing to do with the 25-hour maintenance. Anyway, guys, had a blast. I appreciate you coming along, and hopefully next time I'll see you in the skies, guys. Scare Barry out. Have a good one. See ya.